Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 4 o'clock draw of the Canadian Masters Curling Championships being held here in Kentville and Wolfville, Nova Scotia. The feature game today will be between Team PEI and Team Northwest Territories. They are not in the playoff round, but are playing for seed points for next season, for next year, for their province. The Prince Edward Island team curls out of the Charlottetown and Cornwall Curling Club in Prince Edward Island, of course. Their lead is Arleen Harris, second, Debbie Rhodenhizer, third, Shelley, Ebbett, and skip Sandy Hope. For Northwest Territories, their team is being skipped today by Cheryl, Hval, and their third is Janie, Hobart. Second is Davida, Delorey, and lead Doreen, Scheller. An interesting story out of Northwest Territories is the fact that this is the first time the women have ever come to a national event. It's a struggle geographically in the Northwest Territories to get enough people out of one club to compete. So basically it's a group of people getting together for the love of the game to commit. And 2 years ago, Janie Hobart and Cheryl Hval decided that in a couple of years they would be eligible for the Masters Curling and started to assemble a team at that time. And as a result, they have become the inaugural team to attend a national curling event for women of the Northwest Territories, and it's an absolute thrill, and that's at the Masters level. Today joining me, along with me, co-hosting is Bob Blaney. He is from Alberta, curls out of the Calgary Club and the ARC Center, or the Acadia Rec Center in Calgary. His connection here to this event is he is the team cheerleader and team supporter for the lead for Team Alberta, his wife Jane Blaney. Welcome aboard, Bob.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So once again, this is a game where any of the teams on sheets 2 and 3, the games here today, teams are not going into the championship round, but provide their province seed points or rating points for standings as far as being seeded for next year. The teams that are here, you don't come to the national here for all the money. The winnings are nothing financially, but much in the way of memory and making new friends as well. So that's what's happening here today, and we're so thrilled to have, especially Northwest Territories here, and Prince Edward Island, and all the teams to be part of this national event that's being hosted by the Glooscap and Curling Club here in Kentville and the Wolfville Curling Club and Wolfville Curling Center in Wolfville town, 7 miles away. The lead today, when I had mentioned before for Northwest Territories, was Doreen Scheller. She's not here today, not here this afternoon, was here earlier. Interesting story. She's at a national curling championship as we speak, and it's with the National Firefighters that's being held in Truro and in Nova Scotia, and she's doing that with her son. So as a result, an opening came up for a spare curler, and a local curler by the name of Audrey Doyle, who's been at national events, is throwing lead rocks for Northwest Territories.
It was interesting. I didn't realize that there was a scenario where the curler had a competing event to be in.
And it's one of those things, is, how often you go to a national event, you can say, no, I'm curling at a national event with my son.
Yeah.
Great for Doreen. Second rock for lead Audrey Doyle. Northwest Territories.
It was a good competition for draw to the button on this sheet to set or to confirm who was going to throw last rock. And I noticed that the Northwest Territories team put 2 rocks within, I don't know, just a biting edge of the button on their attempt, which was pretty good. You know, it's a challenge always to make those draws under a little bit of pressure, and they certainly won the hammer in that situation.
So second stone, second for Prince Edward Island here today is Debbie Rhodenhizer, asked to remove the center guard of Northwest Territories. Her shooter rolls into the top 12. And right now, on this end is the way it's shaping up. I'm seeing more rocks in play already than I've seen in most games on the sheet, especially in the first end, where it's basically, well, okay, let's sort of get a sense of ice and let's keep it clean and don't get into too many challenging situations. Second stone for Northwest Territories, Davida Delorey. She has been doing some of the skipping for this team this week. A little bit outside. It doesn't take much on this ice, with the ice is being very weight sensitive, so any type of weight, and if you're out at all, there is no margin for error, and as a result, it's nothing to have one glide by, and that's what has happened there. Davida's rock. Now, second for Prince Edward Island, Debbie Rhodenhizer. This team has only played together for about half a year, and yet within a short period of time they have been able to. We've had the Maritime Masters Curling Championships. They went in and finished second in that. So within a very short time, the team being together, they've done very, very well. Not only represent the province, but also represent the province at the Masters or in the Maritime Masters and finish second. Davida Delorey being asked to remove the rock in the house belonging to Prince Edward Island.
This line's running a little bit better than the last shot. It's coming up at the end here.
A little lighter.
Yeah, a little bit lighter.
In fact, I think
it may just get by to get shot position.
I have a feeling that what they were looking for was maybe a little bump or even a removal of that rock, so it come up light. Throwing third for Prince Edward Island, Shelley Ebbett. Rock on the way. Trying to remove the just thrown Northwest Territories stone by the guard out front. Hit. Very quickly we have 3 Prince Edward Island rocks sitting on pieces of the 12-foot.
Yeah, it looks like that the one rock on the right is just touching the rings. It's a little bit hard to tell from here, but maybe we'll get an overhead shot to help out. There it is. Magic.
Yeah, just a biter.
It's even close on that one. Well, we'll see how she goes.
Throwing third for Northwest Territories, Janie Hobart.
Trying to get in behind the cover of that potential edge biter. It's going to be close. It's going to be towards the back of the rings, but it
weight
looks
was
like
good. It just and one of the tough parts is trying to figure out just exactly where to put the broom, especially early in this. Stone on the way from Shelley Ebbett. Looking for a little bit of a hit and roll. It's sort of floating outside, but I think it's going to get enough roll.
Oh, yeah. Rolled open on the other side.
So although there's a lot of rocks in play for Prince Edward Island, the middle of the house is wide open.
Territories is going for another draw behind cover on that corner guard.
Make a big difference here if they were actually able to put one into cover here. Janie Hobart's second rock in this first end. Sweepers have been on it, whether they can get enough to get it by that corner rock.
Oh,
and now they're going to rub on that. Just a hair light.
Rubbed into what looks to be probably shot or second shot position.
And Prince Edward Island's gonna, yeah.
Pretty open. Looks like it's second shot right now.
And they'll remove that. And possibly, can't tell from here. I don't think if they hit with the Prince Edward Island rock will be in the house. I don't know if they'll be able to get any biter off of that.
Yeah, it'd be pretty close. It's just barely. Might be able to sniggle a bite on the ring if they hit square on the nose.
So Skip Sandy Hope is getting set in the hack for her first rock at the first end. On the way.
It's moving.
Sweepers now a little movement. Sweepers are hard on it. We're going to have a piece of the rock.
Wow, did that ever move? It looked like it worked out just fine.
I think it worked out really well because I think what it did was allow it to give enough movement to get another rub off their own rock, so that now they're
sitting five.
Sitting five.
Yeah. If that top one's in, but it looks like it could be. So that's a mitt full.
And the good news is it's still wide open and looking for Cheryl, who is skipping today, to draw in behind cover here to be shot. Her first rock at the first end.
It looks a little bit warm.
Looks a little heavy, but it also needs some curl.
It may interact with that top guard.
Starting to come now. A little wick wouldn't even hurt.
Ooh. Just got by.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised that Prince Edward Island's going to say, okay, let's put one at the top of the 12-foot, or even, at the top of the 12 or just outside on the center line, and saying, well, okay, you want to draw? You draw in between, and just tighten up the center of the ice. If that can happen, Bob, then it's going to make
that shot a lot tougher. That's for sure.
Sandy, especially after Sandy just threw one and was a little heavy on that. And now that the normal thing to do is after you throw one heavy is you put on the brakes and you pull it back. So it'll see just exactly what's going to happen here with Sandy Hope throwing up her last rock at the first end. Where she puts this guard will make a lot of difference as exactly the challenge of the throw that will be left for Northwest Territories to score one. Delivery on the way. Sweepers are on it.
It's holding an outside line here too. It's not moving up very quick. Might come at the very end, but right now it's definitely targeting a tap on that guard. Well, now it's moving. And it just squeezes by.
So we have enough room to come through. That's not a problem. It's just a matter of what turn would she like to come in by.
Well, they certainly have a few rocks in play. Seven rocks in play from the Prince Edward Island team at this point.
So all things are good. If Hval comes in and draws in, pretty simple. Scores one, moves on to end number two.
Wee bit of pressure on this one.
Last stone of the first end, Team Northwest Territories.
Wow. This doesn't look like it's going to curl up.
No, that's way outside. Way outside. It's heavy as well.
Well, this is going to be a mittful. I think we're looking at
Are we
a
a
minimum
7?
of 5 or 6. We may have 7 in this. Oh, if they kicked that rock in, they must view it as already on the rings. So that's a score of 7 for Prince Edward Island after the first end.
It's not something that I can say I've seen before, of where you steal 7 in the first end.
Oh, that's a tough one.
And there wasn't anything glamorous about the way that the end unfolded, Bob. It just seemed to...
Well, the magic for Prince Edward Island is they placed all their rocks pretty much right along the top of the ring, and got in the way of a couple of attempts to get rocks in play for Northwest Territories. So, but basically controlling the top of the rings was a pretty positive situation for them.
When you score 7, the other team is not making many shots. So
No,
it's
that's
really
true.
so collectively as a team,
Yeah.
they just did not have an end that they would like to put in the memory bank. So in the beginning of end number 2, we have Prince Edward Island that's going to try to throw up the center line guard. It's coming in. Being in the house is more than fine. Oh, and as it is, it's going to sit on the 8. The Northwest Territories team, it's a tremendous story. Janie Hobart, she throws third. She's a level 4 curling official. She has done the Olympics, she's done Paralympics, she's done the Worlds, she's done the men's junior world. Tremendous curling experience. She also is president of the Northwest Territories Curling Association. She's not the only president on the club. Skip today, Cheryl, she is president of the curling club that she's out of, the Fort Smith Curling Club. Second, Davida Delorey, she's president of her home club, which is the Hay River Curling Club. And the commitment of these ladies to basically gather up anything possible to create a team to come to this national championship is for it an awesome commitment and a wonderful testament to their love of the game. And they can't play together. Geography doesn't allow that to be that we'll curl together every Tuesday night or every Wednesday. No,
In fact, if you're familiar with the geography of the territories, those 3 locations are some distance apart. And it would be an airplane ride or 2 to get people together in the same scenario. Although these folks are pretty committed travelers. One of the ladies on the Territories team actually drove here from her hometown in Yellowknife to come to this event. So,
well, that's awesome. That's awesome, and you turn around and people might think, well, why are they here? Well, you give up a 7-ender in the first end and so on. There's not a curling team out there that has an experience where 4 curlers have all made great shots at once and had a wonderful end. We've also had 4 curlers when they've not made any of their shots and it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And that's an example of that. One shot would have bailed out the whole end, and that's how it unfolded.
Okay, an attempt on a takeout seems to have been effective for
A little light, but it
PEI
did
to
the job.
Move the rock out of play.
We do have a single biter on the outside of 12, belonging to PEI.
Mm-hmm. So Territories is trying to split the house and get a rock in play on the left side.
I think they're probably still a little bit of shell shocked of, okay, what's our strategy? Well, let's get out the handbook and says, okay, let's turn to the page that says if you give up 7 in the first end, what should you do? And I think that's a hard book to find right now.
Well, the simple answer is you throw rocks in the house.
Yeah,
As many as
and
you
start
can get.
from there and forget that one was done and start again.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Keep the game playing. Get as many rocks in the house as you can. Going to park this one right on top of or just ahead of the Bell Alliance logo that's on the sheet. That's a good cue for you.
Yes. Next, will be Prince Edward Island. Will say, let's get a few more rocks in play when it comes time to starting to remove these rocks of Northwest Territories. That's what they're going to do. And
ooh, this looks like a tick attempt, eh?
yeah.
Awesome shot.
But it's going to fall out.
Went out. Doesn't have to be replaced, though. That was the 4th rock?
Yeah.
Okay.
The live feed would not be possible without the support of Bell Alliant TV1. Visit bellalliant.ca/TV1 for the webcast and TV schedule as well as the online demand content. You can also get information on live events available only to Bell Alliant fiber op customers in Atlantic Canada on channels 1 and 401. Bell Alliant, there's more to love with fiber op. Now, Northwest Territories rock would like to have a bit of a freeze. It's going to come behind the tee line.
Just a wee bit. Sitting
And it's
just
open. Prince Edward Island will, nothing confusing if rock goes in. Well, let's remove it.
one of the things that I haven't had the privilege of before this particular event was the fact that Bell Alliance also broadcasting on the web, right?
Yes.
That's a worldwide broadcast capacity, so all our colleagues back home that have been interested in doing so have been able to follow the games that have been played on Sheet 3 in both the Wolfville and the Kentville arenas, and got to see some of their favorite teams on display. So I think that's a rather unique and special opportunity. People all across Canada to get a look at it.
Well, with the advancement of technology, it's made this a possibility that people can view events that do not get all the national, sponsored corporate recognition. The opportunity to still see teams that are representing their province at a national
It's just
event.
a wee bit heavy going by.
A little heavy.
Yeah, it looks like it's out the back, leaving PEI sitting 2 on the far right side of the rings.
PEI looking to add a guard to the rocks that are on the right side of the house.
It looks like they're drawing or throwing to the opposite side.
Yeah, I guess that's what they are doing.
Hopefully looks a wee bit heavy.
And this one is going to glide to the back of the 12 foot, if not right through.
Yeah. Trying to split the house, but
I originally thought that they were going to try to set up
Yeah.
on that, and that was what I thought the broom was initially. Now had decided to go through the house. Well, split the house, and they did more than that. Drifted through.
okay, here comes Territories' attempt at trying to basically come down on top or freeze to those 2 rocks that are on the right side of the rings.
And the idea here is, when you're down, more than a couple, it's okay. Let's use everybody's rocks to our advantage.
Fortunately, that just slipped by and out the back. I think it's out the back of the rings just a little bit. Yep.
And the weight wouldn't have been too bad if it would have been a little heavy, but it still wouldn't have been too bad. But they didn't have the line on it either.
Yeah. Well, I think PEI is going to try to cover that now.
Yep. So Sandy Hope is not unfamiliar coming to national events. She was at the Canadian Masters Curling Championship also last year in Whitehorse. And she's also been at the Canadian Seniors in 2010, 12, and 15, and was at the Canadian Mixed Curling Championships in 2008. So she has a few badges of honor representing the province of Prince Edward Island at national events.
Here comes an outturn draw, or outturn guard, I guess, and will be the intent. Top of the house to cover up one of the two stones that's in play on the right-hand side of the rings for PEI.
They might even try, well, I think here, as long as they get a little coverage, they wouldn't even mind shrinking the rings a bit too.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a pretty close to their intent there. Doesn't quite cover the shot stone, but it does, as you say, cut down on the play area around the rings on that side.
So Northwest Territories looking to say, okay, maybe what we can do is hit and roll under the rock that's just thrown. So they have a little bit of. If you were hair outside, there's the PEI rock biting the 12 that they could also use that as a bit of a bumper to come over. A rock for action off of. Here it doesn't need a heavy amount of weight to make this shot, but they do need a bit of a roll here to get at least some roll to get under cover here.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to be throwing a little bit, either back ring hack or board to get a roll on this one.
On the way for Northwest Territories.
Boy, this rock's
Cheryl's
riding
rock on the way,
an outside line.
And she's outside.
It may.
It's got to be
I don't know. Yeah, it must have crossed over the sideline there. It's taken out of play by the Northwest Territories sweeper.
Prince Edward Island at this point is just, what can we do to put a lot of rocks on that one side of the house? We'll just leave the other side open if you wish. So Sandy Hope. Originally, from what I thought they were, Sandy and Shelley were discussing in the house, they might use a bit of a bump back here on this, and
tapping back the top one.
I think they might be.
They changed their mind on this one. Looks like they're now going to be trying to draw in behind.
Yep. In the other game on sheet 2, Yukon had scored 1 in the first, take a 1-0 lead going into the second end against Alberta. All the sweepers are on this one for PEI, and just 2 of them.
They're working it hard. Looks like it's going to be a little bit short of the house, but just back down on top of that Bell Alliant sign again. It's a popular spot.
Well, yeah. Even though it didn't come in, what it's actually done is saying, okay, if you're trying to draw in, we'll just put a little more, another rock into play just to be an obstacle to you. And I think they're going to come down and look for the hit and stick for 1.
Oh, yeah.
Last rock for Cheryl. Last rock at the second end for Northwest Territories. Last rock at the end.
So she's looking to basically draw again to get.
Well, I think with the broom she might be just out there hit and
try to hit and roll.
Yeah, just needs to come out to the broom and she should be good.
Yeah.
No need for the sweepers yet. it is, again, tends to be
Boy,
moving a little, floating outside.
It's coming up a wee bit. This has a
It
good
doesn't want to
chance.
roll out here, though. That's exactly what it's falled back.
Yeah, that looks like another 3 points for Prince Edward Island coming out of this end, which would put the score at 10 for PEI.
It's well, it's one of those. Let's just put the last two ends out of, and we start again. There isn't much. There's not much else you can do, and one good shot will make a lot of difference for the rest of the team. So hopefully it begins right with Audrey, who has been sparing today for Doreen Scheller, who is now curling with her son in the National Firefighters.
Right. Just an update on sheet 2. The Alberta team was able to come back with a score of 3 after the second end, so that game's going to be a back and forth kind of play, I guess.
Yeah. So the first stone for Prince Edward Island at this stage, at this one, they don't care to have any rocks in the play with a 10-0 lead after 2. Pretty simple. Don't put anything into play.
They elected to play it through, that's for sure.
Since we're in Annapolis Valley is well known for its agricultural and all the apples that are grown here. It's been a shipper, especially 30-40 years ago, is one of the primary producers and distributors of apples in North America and around and to Europe. And to that note, the club, as for members and guests and for participants, they've had an unlimited supply of valley apples, and they've been generously donated by Sterling Farm Markets and Noggin Farm Markets as well. There have been 10 vehicles that have been provided by the local car dealerships in the area, and we thank them so much. And as we know, that cars actually need fuel to run on, surprisingly enough. And to that end, a local business by the name of Michelin Court, and they have gas pumps there as well, and they've been so kind to say the gas is on us, and they have been providing gas to all the vehicles that have been used for transportation purposes for the week. So thank you very, very much for that. They also have a bake oven there as well, and they've been able to provide curlers with just monster-sized cookies as well. So the sweet tooth is filled, the gas tank is filled, everybody's happy.
So PEI elected to throw the second stone through as well, so now Territories is trying to throw up another guard, I believe. The first one was a beautiful guard just outside the 12-foot on the right-hand side of the sheet, so they're in good position with that one. And this is another one just at the top of the 12-foot, so got a couple of guards in play to work with.
For people who come into the club, Audrey's picture shows up on the wall of a couple, and her face shows up in a couple of pictures on the wall as somebody going to national events. So Audrey has a great amount of experience. She competed in the provincial masters this year. Often skips a team.
So PEI is now trying to clear the guards that Territories have put in place. This one looks like it's going to jam and remain right on the center line. So that leaves an opportunity for something to hide behind.
When Audrey goes home at night, she's able to talk about ice conditions rather freely, because the ice maker for this event is her husband, Tony Sterling. And Tony is a strong curler as well. Tony is one of the premier ice makers in Atlantic Canada. He was asked to prepare the ice for the first Grand Slam event of the year in Newfoundland. And by the feedback which has been given by the curlers, and there's not a curler in the world that is not afraid to give you feedback on ice, and the general consensus that they've been happy with the ice.
Is he making the ice for both these sheets?
Both sheets.
Yeah.
He's the regular ice maker, actually, for both clubs.
Excellent. Yeah, it's certainly fast and clean.
And the crew that have been looking after the ice for both clubs, and I can only attest to the one here. This ice has been prepped after every draw, and they've done a fantastic job, so it wouldn't be possible without the volunteer efforts of guys in the club like John McDonald, JP Boudreau, and Steve Sweeney. Those guys have done a fantastic job, and they've been here day in, morning in, afternoon, so thank you, hats off to you guys.
So PI is again trying to clear some guards from up front. Territories put another guard on top of their first guard, so they're still protected on that side. Now there's 3 rocks in front of the house. 2 of them belonging to PEI and 1 belonging still to the Territories. And it looks like the Territories are going to try and draw in behind that.
This would be wonderful to get a rock buried here. As Davida Delorey throws, she's been throwing second today, to put one in under cover. It looks like it's sitting outside, Bob, just not finishing. It's out there. I don't know. I think she might have got outside the broom just a bit.
I think it's coming hard enough. It might get by. It's going to be close. Well, it got by, but
just light.
Just a little bit light. No, it didn't quite get by, but just a tiny bit light. So now the whole top of the 4-foot outside the 12-foot is covered.
So Prince Edward Island has 2 completely different looks at this. They can say, you know what, we can bump back, or else we're going to, be aggressive and really just keep the pressure on without taking, any mercy here, or else they can just say, you know what, you can't score if you don't have any rocks in place, so we'll come down and eliminate the Northwest Territory rocks.
Trying to clear some more of the Territory granite. This one looks like it's going to be another nose hit on...
It's starting to come a bit. No, it's nose hit, though.
So there's still 4 guards in play, and 3 of them are blue now.
It's really critical that Northwest Territories can start to get a few in the house. Being short, Prince Edward Islands, let's just remove them. Janie Hobart throwing.
So this attempt may come close to the Territory guard they have, but if it comes up on it, what it looks like it's doing, it may well raise it straight in behind the other guards. So we'll see how this works out.
It looks a little light.
Well, looks like now, nobody's still in the house yet.
Shot would be there to hit the outside, the one furthest out front, the red. Northwest Territories remove that, and it can come over and hit the red closest to the center. But they've taken another route to get to that red rock. They're going to run the roam back.
They're trying to run the other blue guard onto it, but it looks like that's going to go by.
I think they're a little outside too.
And we now have a raised PEI rock to the back of the 4-foot. It's still open though, so it looks like the Territories are going to come down on top of that, look to play down on top of that with a freeze.
Just a hair tight, but it hasn't been curling as much this afternoon.
Well, this line looks pretty good if the weight stays up.
It's a little light now. It's starting to really curl.
Well, this could turn into a draw opportunity if they get it by that guard. No, just tick the guard, and it's going to come right down on top of or close to being on top of the other rock as it is. Just second shot sitting in front of the PEI stone in the back of the 4-foot. A little more tricky to remove that one.
She has options on both sides. She can come down and be a little tight off on the center line. You could remove it with a bit of weight. Decided that she's going to come at it from the outside in. Sandy Hope skip for Prince Edward Island.
Yeah, it looks like she's taking enough ice to sort of bump onto it and move it over. And hopefully rolling behind.
I thought she would just simply remove it and be done with it, but that much broom, it's not looking for much weight, that's for sure. Now they could be, well, all things are possible, but they could be saying, we'll protect our own, we'll block off the top and run it, try to steal for one.
But as I recall, that wouldn't be enough ice for a clean guard, right? So it's likely they're targeting to curl a bit further than the line on that, but maybe I'm wrong.
They're a little, well, one way or the other.
It looks like it's a guard aim now. Looks like it's going to become a guard, whether it was intended as such or not, we don't know. Yeah, it's a pretty good guard sitting up top there. And
I think that was their decision. Since they had shot rock at the back of the 4 foot, they thought, okay, let's do that and put some pressure on Northwest Territories to deal with it. Now, there are a couple of options here. If we look down they do have a rock just sitting outside the house that they can use on a bit of an angle raise, would be great.
There's a very tight port, but I don't know that they'll be wanting to try that.
But as far as drawing in, they have not found draw weight all day. However, what possibly coming in to set up their next shot might be a case. I'll run back that way, but one thing, they're not coming in for an angle raise, that's for sure. So they've come back to the other side of the house, going to draw in. So for Cheryl to stick one in, and after I've said all of that and said they've made their decision, it's been a change of plans.
So what do you think this effort is, towards bumping the red back or trying to get around it?
I think they're going to try to draw around it. At least with the broom that they have, it looks a little too big if they're going to try to angle raise that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And if they're going to draw,
I think it's an attempt to get around that guard.
I do too.
Yeah.
Going to take quite a. Hopefully they can get enough curl to get, once they get by the guard, whether it'll finish hard enough. Yeah. And she's inside.
Well, maybe this is well inside. It looks like it's going to hit with the blue rock first, but maybe it'll cross over center. It may just promote. Wow, it could go through the port. And it has gone through the port. And we'll raise the red rock, the Territories rock, into
I gotta say I didn't see that call.
Well, turned out very well for the Territories. It's really well guarded too. I don't know that the PEI has access to an easy shot here.
Well,
it looked like they may be considering a raise now.
I'm thinking that we really needed to have the players mic'd on that, because I didn't see that shot at all.
That was one of those surprise calls.
Okay, it's worked out.
Well, it was a beautiful shot. I mean, it made it through a very tight port to get onto shot rock. It was an excellent result.
That's why we're commentaries and doing the commentating and letting them play.
Yeah.
Last rock for Prince Edward Island.
And it looks like a pretty light touch on this throw.
I'm not sure what exactly.
I wonder if they're trying to come through that same port. No, it doesn't look like it's going to make it. No, it looks like it's going to be just getting to the top of the house, if that.
I think what they want to do is just seal it off for one.
Plug it up so there's no other options for Territories to score 2.
There's that small port on the other side, but as we had talked about previously, I don't know if they can go ahead and get by and finish hard enough to count 2.
Well, if they can get through it, they've got enough. It looks like they could get enough of the 4-foot to make a counter, but
If that's true.
But the trick is getting through that port.
If that's the case, I'm not sure they have enough. Well, now they're going to tighten the ice.
Wow.
Well, you know, based on what they've just done here, they must be playing the angle.
Maybe they're coming back in on top of that other one.
No, that looks
This
like
definitely
weight
got
for an
more
angle
weight
raise.
on it. Yeah. Oh, I know what it is. It's a.
Yeah.
No, I
They're
don't.
trying to get right. You know, it's a little tight. It's up on the blue.
So the Territories are going to score their first point in the game through that excellent raise they made into to tap their shot rock into the top 4-foot.
Absolutely. Well done. Northwest Territories is on the board. So after 3, we have Prince Edward Island 10, Northwest Territories 1, heading into the 4th end, and PEI will have the hammer. Locally, I don't know, Bob, whether you've had any opportunity, whether you've been here before, if you've checked it out, is the world high tides here.
Yes. Yes, we actually I've had a couple of trips out this way before, and I've been fascinated by the tides in the Bay of Fundy. But as it is right now, I understand it's one of their peak tide cycles. With paper this morning announcing it could be one of the highest tides they're going to have in a long, long time coming up here in the next day or so.
Yeah, it's really quite amazing. And what I'm going to recommend to people is write this down. It's 2016 masterscurling.ca/tides, and that way you can get an elapsed view of the rise and fall of the tides in the Bay of Fundy, and it would be out at Halls Harbor. It is, well, try to imagine a bathtub the size of a harbor, and you fill it up with water, and then somebody pulls the plug and it all drains out, and that's exactly what you got for tides. A difference, and sometimes they've seen a rise of the high and the fall of 50 feet.
Well, we were out the other day, and I'm a sailor at heart, so I was somewhat paying attention to the dynamics of that, and it was charted to be a 45-foot or so tide range for the day, but I understand that the wind conditions and some other unique conditions of the day actually translated to even more than that. That's a huge amount of water level variance over a very short period of time, over a 6-hour period, right? And see that. So we took pictures ourselves at high tide, and pictures not at low, but pretty close to low tide, just to get that image burnt into our camera as to how big a change that is. And I'm glad to hear they've shown time-lapse photography.
Yes, yep.
That would be fantastic.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's another view of how you want to look at tides in the Bay of Fundy is by, if you've got a flat area, and there's like what we call mud flats that happen when the water runs out. I mean, you're out a third of a mile.
Yeah.
And you look out, and on low tide, and you're going, boy, that's a long way to go out there to get to the water. And you say, wait a few hours, and it'll come to you. Like you say, it's a world-class event, the highest tides in the world. So if you have an opportunity to get here to see it, awesome. If not, then go on to 2016 masterscurling.ca/tides.
But I would agree with you. If they can see it in person, it's all that much better.
And if things are right, then you can probably say, well, while I'm here, is there any chance of having lobster? Or scallops, or some other seafood.
Or the other thing that I learned about your area that I hadn't appreciated to any extent is your wine culture that's developed in this area in the recent years. And the development of wineries in the area, all within the last decade, really, that are producing some very flavorful wines. So there's that whole new industry evolving here as well.
It is the emergence of a whole wine industry here. It would be like the beginning of watching the Okanagan Valley, or the Niagara region, Sonoma Valley in California. we don't have the land mass as it would be, but the quality will be here, and we have some world-class production wines now, and highly recommend for people to come and take an opportunity to find out just exactly how this emerging wine industry is taking shape, and it's been fantastic.
So here I am, the guy from away, promoting your local business. Well, things are shaping up here a little bit on the next end, on the third end, or the fourth. Back to the glass. Got 2 rocks in play. And the Territories just placed a rock on top of PEI stone in the top right corner of the house. And 12 foot. Looks like PEI is going after it with a hit.
Again, let's not keep, the idea here is let's complicate things, remove rocks, and go from there, move on to the next end. Flashed it.
PI came in behind it. They're still shot now, but they're directly behind the Territories stone in the top 12. Just an update on sheet 2. It looks like Alberta scored another 3 points in the end, so we're now ahead 6-1. They had a very busy house at the far end. It looked like they were working hard to protect the shot stone, but the outcome worked more in their favor than just 1 or 2 points. So that game seems to be favoring Alberta right now.
You come with the hammer and going into the fourth. Northwest Territories trying to get this rock over the hog line, and I have a feeling that is not going to happen.
Oops. Looks like the string got pulled on that one a wee bit. So now PEI going to split the house, eh?
That's what it looks like from here.
Thank you.
We've had the volunteer effort here. Since it's not a paid event, everybody rolls up their sleeve and pitches in, and I can't emphasize enough, the National Masters Curling events are not sponsored by Curling Canada, so the players that come here come on their own dime. The organizations that host it basically take all the risk, roll up the sleeve, and saying, you know what, we'll do whatever we can to make sure the event is held. And with all the expenses that come on, they roll up the sleeve, do the fundraising, get the volunteer efforts to make such an happen, and without large corporate donor efforts put into that. It has been an incredible show of commitment by the local community, and especially the curlers, to host what people have been very happy with the quality event.
Well, I could speak to that in person. We've been staying locally here, and volunteers have been available to help transport people to and from the various facilities and the hotel, and they have been abundant, and they have been the most pleasant and to help, and actually been helping us with little mini tours, when people had some time available, giving them a broader experience of things in the area, including the lobster pond, where people got the privilege of holding some pretty large lobsters in their hands. It's amazing how big those critters can get.
They can.
Touring some of the other local facilities, so it's been just a wonderful effort and experience, and highly appreciated by the curlers and their support groups that are out here. All of the friendly attention paid to making sure that we can get the best possible experience for these people from out of town that they can provide. So we're very, very happy with that.
Well, we're glad to have it, and there's a great sense of pride at the community level and at the club level, to the point that if we can tweak your interest to come back at another year to see what else we have, we're only too glad to do so.
So the Territories have just made a raise takeout on the one stone at the top of the 12-foot PEI had in play behind theirs. PEI still has shot stone on top of the 4, and it's open, so I'm not sure what they're going to play here. It looks like they're trying to clear some of the other red rocks out. No, well, it's not clear what they're going to do yet. considering the options.
Well, they could split the house here and count two.
Set themselves up for...
Yeah, set themselves up for two. I think, well, the danger of leaving those, they're up 10-1, so, but let's set that aside. The danger that happens here is that Northwest Territories have two rocks of where they can come behind and actually put a little pressure on PEI. And I think it works to their advantage by PEI splitting the house here.
Well, it's coming down. Looks like it's going to be at least parallel, maybe just parallel to the other stone in play at the top of the 4-foot. Leaves the opportunity for a double.
Or even might possibly get a bit of a hit and roll. But, you know, it has been the strongest end so far for Northwest Territories. They've regrouped here and put some pressure on Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
Skip Cheryl, Hval is set in the hack. Delivery on the way. Her first stone in the 4th inning.
And this is a target run at the double. It's actually got a pretty good line right now.
It's starting to curl. I think it's going to be a nose hit here, I think.
It just hit and rolled over on top of the PEI stones. Corner frozen to it.
That's actually worked out fairly well.
Yeah.
Even though Prince Edward Island is sitting, there is possibly 3, I know of 2 for sure, of counters of Northwest Territory in the house. A couple of options here. Not being
well,
too
they definitely want the red stone to go away, but it's going to be a wee bit tougher because it's frozen to the... Oh, they're calling a timeout, so they can discuss their options. So PEI has now called a timeout and has a minute, I think it is, to discuss the opportunities they have for this next shot.
So, a couple of options.
Well, they're anxious to be able to score more than one, I think, this end, and
the thing is, you know, for Northwest Territories, they don't have the hammer, and Prince Edward Island at the same time is, again, you can't score if the rocks aren't in play. So, you know, coming down and taking a nose hit or just trying to remove the rocks that are on the 8 and the 4 foot, even at their own, it's more than fine. However, if the hit is a little tight, what may happen here is that there's not enough movement off the rock bob that the red Northwest Territories rock may possibly roll over more under cover under their own shot.
Yeah, if they hit it a little bit thick, if they end up on the red at all and hit it thick, they're going to end up possibility that could roll under cover and be even more challenging to get at. But key shot coming up.
This is the first time this game that Prince Edward Island has actually been put under any pressure, and I'm glad to see the Territories is regrouped here and saying game on. Let's get it. You know, let's put together some play here that is what we're capable of. So
okay, the rock's on its way. It looked like it was released pretty close to the target broom, so it's slowly starting to come up
Sandy
now.
Hope's first rock in the 4th end here. Starting to curl.
It's going to make contact, I think, with the red, but it's not going to move it very far. Just barely move it out of play. Oh, they just unfroze it, basically. Maybe that was the call. That sets it up to make it a lot easier to take it out on the next shot if they are.
Well, I think
if they don't have that blocked by by the territories.
Just a light bump on the blue, on just outside of the red, right there. Just a little tap back. I think just could move it back for shot rock, and they'd have some cover as well.
So this is the second skips rock that's going to be thrown by the territories at this point,
Correct.
right? So we've got one shot to make it.
And Cheryl's throwing skip rocks today instead of Davida.
Okay, so they are playing the. Looks like they're playing the hit.
If they just tap, well, there's a couple of options here. If they tap the blue, it would be tough. It would bump back the red. They would have their own red rock as a bit of a guard. Other thing is, if they get back and they can hit their own rock and hit it first, then they'll set the shot rock back out, and they would be counting. Well, depending on how far they hit, they could be counting 2. Cheryl's getting set in the hack. And I think questioning whether.
We can't throw it for you.
Question whether well, is this what she's comfortable with? And so she's back out of the hack, and I know that Janie Hobart has been looking up and saying, okay, how much time do we have? I think the change of the decision is going to be a cold draw back into maybe deep into the 4-foot here for shot, but it looks like a lot of weight. It's got a lot of curl if it's going to do anything. I think it's going to run.
Is it going to come off that outside guard? No, it looks like it's curling by that now.
It was a little wide. It needs to finish harder.
Oh, it's slipped through the port and is going just out to the back of the house. So current situation has PEI sitting 1 with an opportunity to hit their own stone onto the Territories rock that's sitting second shot right now, with a possibility of scoring 3. So we'll see how this unfolds.
So, and he doesn't need big weight here, Bob, for...
No, just has to promote it to the back of the rings, really.
That's all it is.
Yeah. But it looks like they're taking ice to throw a normal, or at least a board weight hit.
So this is the last rock of the 4th end, Team Prince Edward Island. Counting 1, looking to bump back the Northwest Territories rock, which is sitting second, moving it, and if they stick, it'll be sitting 3. It's got some pretty good weight on it. Needs to finish.
Yeah, it's
needs to finish
there a little bit.
Needs to finish.
Might make contact. No, it's got the own back one, so it peels out and it leaves the Territories with 1.
Steal
so
of
the Territories
1.
stole 1 in the 4th end now to bring the score to 10-2 after 4.
Always a game of surprises.
And now they're going to their 4th end break.
We've seen some very surprising shots here or surprising outcomes in the last 2 ends, and that's the game of curling. I want to make this announcement for one. Be sure to join Bell Alliance TV1's own Scott Squires as he chats with Cyril Lunny each Monday at 8:40 a.m. on the Sideline Scoop. Get up to date on Bell Alliance TV1's local sports coverage with Scott and Cyril. That's the Sideline Scoop, Mondays at 8:40 a.m. on CTV Morning, Live Atlantic. Some of the local sponsors which I'd like to make an extra shout out to is especially Julie Scaling Physiotherapy. Julie has 2 massage and physiotherapy clinics in the area, one in Wolfville, one in Hval, and she graciously allotted time specifically for curlers at this event. And so if anybody had an injury or if anybody had a muscle cramp, she provided her services and made it available for the curlers, and I thought that was outstanding for her to do that. And some of the other supporters we have, the team sponsors, Bishop and Company Chartered Accountants, Canadian Tire, Nova Scotia Community College, King's Tech Campus, the Subway in New Minas and Wolfville, the Curling Store in Dartmouth, Sterling Sweet Ciders. They've also helped applied some of the apples here for the event. Gaspro Vineyards, Sobeys, Bulwark Ciders, Planters Ridge Winery, Acadia University in Wolfville, and Leon's Furniture. We thank them again for all their kind support. This event would not even remain without the assistance and support of our municipalities and the towns. The municipality of the County of Kings, the towns of Hval and Wolfville, and the village of New Minas were great financial contributors to allow this event to even take place, and we thank them very much. As our silver sponsors, the Old Orchard Inn, which has been the primary supplier of accommodations for the curlers, J.D. Irving, and the independent grocers in Hval and Wolfville. The franchisees there are Jason Blanchard and Carl Oldham Jr., who will be the sponsors for the banquet evening. And Jason's family have been tremendous curlers in their own right, and thank them for their ongoing support both at the club level and for this national event. The area of, if people are coming to visit as well, golf season is just that the golfers here have been chomping at the bit to get out to the course. Some of them are able to get out a little earlier this year. The end of February, actually, that Bob showed up on a few courses. There's a golf course between in New Minas, which New Minas is located between Hval and Wolfville, and the name of the course is called Kinwell, short for Hval and Wolfville. So it's called Kinwell. It was put in the middle. This year they're host of the 2016 Canadian Women's Amateur Golf Championship. So if you're in the area, not only does it reflect a quality course, but it reflects a quality organization even at the golfing level in this community.
Yeah, the Kenwell facility was used to host one of the events for the curlers this week. We had an evening of entertainment held at that facility and some wine tasting opportunities for the team. So it was we got a chance to see that place. It's a very nice golf course. No, it's been great, and it'll be a great fit. The Canadian women's actually played there before. The Canadian junior boys had been there before. So the course meets the what they call the criteria of holding a national event, as well as it gives you a sense of the organizing group that is behind it to be basically put on a national function. So
I'm getting the strong impression that this particular part of the region of Nova Scotia is very keen on volunteering for things. Well, I think it's true. I think it's true of anywhere that's rural, semi-rural. Is if you want to get things done, you have to do it in committee and do it with your neighbors and friends and roll up your sleeve to get it done. It's just the way it is. Clubs wouldn't be in existence today if you had to rely on paying for every service that you require. So here's our first stone in the fifth in. Lead Audrey Doyle for Northwest Territories. Asked to be throwing up a guard. Last end, she threw up two beauties.
Yeah, it looks good this time too. Coming close to center line and should be well in front of the house.
As we'd mentioned before, you remember Bob and I was saying it seems after the fourth end break, the ice tends to get a little tighter and a little slower, and I'm not sure why. Whether it is because the people off the ice and the humidity factor changes a bit, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery. They didn't sweep the ice between ends, so I don't think they did they? No. So so it may just be a wee bit more condensation. It's raining quite a bit out right now, so there may be a tiny bit of that happening, but don't know for sure. I do know, though, that this particular facility has the tendency for the ice to run a little bit faster towards the glass than it does away from the glass.
Yes.
And teams coming off have just played back to the glass, so it might be their muscle memory, if you want, when it comes to the next shot, which is going away. So that might play into it a wee bit.
So Prince Edward Island on their first rock of the fifth end, again, they do not have any interest in putting a whole lot of rocks in play with a 10-2 lead. So Arleen Harris, who was the lead for Prince Edward Island, was asked to just put the rock through the house. Audrey Doyle, who is sparing for Team Northwest Territories, been asked to come around. She got some partial cover, not a lot, but it did come around, sitting and biting on top of the 12. Arleen will be asked to remove the stone. Running a little tight, and I have a feeling it may be, yes, it's going to hit the guard.
High guard.
So the lone rock right now is Northwest Territories. However, that has to be put back. The guard that was removed has to be put back in play. It's the four rock rule. You can't remove a rock that is first two rocks by the lead on the other team if it's in play in front of the house. So that's been put back in play.
So this gives the Territories a chance to get another rock in play. So we're trying to draw into the top of the house behind the cover of the center guard, right at the top of the 12-foot.
If it is, I think it's going to be light.
It's got the potential. But you're right, it looks like it's just coming down now and going to stop just outside the rings.
I don't think Skip Sandra Hope is, for Prince Edward Island, is too worried about the high guard. It's really not much in play. So she'll decide to come after the rock just thrown, the guard just put up. Debbie Rhodenhizer throws second for Prince Edward Island.
She's attempting to pick off that top, the last stone thrown by Territories, and she was successful. She managed to catch it high and move it out of play.
Northwest Territories hoping to draw in.
Yeah, they're calling for a draw behind cover on that. They were just a wee bit short on their last attempt.
Davida Delorey, and that's going to be light.
It looks like it's a wee bit light as well, yes.
Maybe it'll come over. It'll be another long guard.
Yep.
It's one of the situations here for Prince Edward Island that, it didn't come in the house. Yes, it was short, but it's one of those annoying rocks that is sitting out in front, and it is tying up the center of the ice.
So they're calling to peel that one as well.
Last rock for Debbie Rhodenhizer.
And it looks like it's going to be successful at peeling off that stone. Yes, here it goes. Another high peel, well thrown. Clear the guard out of play.
Still trying to come in. into the house and bury it if possible for Northwest Territories. First rock at the end for Janie Hobart.
The line looks a little bit tight. The weight seems a little better for the...
They might be able to get a tap back here, depending on the weight here, but
Yeah, it looks like it's on line to contact the top guard.
they need to be on it.
Yeah, it's going to touch, but just barely, I
Yeah,
think.
it's a little weight, a little light, and it's going to over curl to even to tap back. So
No, it didn't even get there all the way. Some good guards on center line for...
exactly, junk in the center line for.
Looks like PEI is going to attempt to peel off that recently thrown rock by Territories.
And they're okay if they're tight to the long guard too, because that'll just open that as well.
Seems you predicted that outcome. Because there it goes.
But
Well,
didn't get enough of it.
They ticked off of it enough to move it well off center line. Yeah. But it's still hanging around just over the hog line, covering part of the access to the forefoot.
Well, Cheryl is bound and determined they're going to bury one yet.
This line looks a little better.
Asking Janie to. Okay, let's see if we can get this one put it behind.
Okay,
me.
settle
Definitely
rock.
more weight than last time. Now it's just a question of whether it'll finish.
Might have it's a wee bit much on this one. It's just coming into the back of this. Yes, just came through the house. So Northwest Territory still sitting one, top of the 12. PI now looking to peel or double the guard in front of that.
It wouldn't take a lot to double this rock off for third Shelley Ebbett from Prince
Looks
Edward
like
Island.
it's definitely going to run back onto that stone. It may jam.
Yeah.
Well, it did jam.
Open
It's
it up.
left PE, the Territories rock, just barely on the. Looks like it's just barely outside the rings. On the what would be the right side of the house for the skip. And they're calling to draw around that as a guard. This is Skip's first stone.
This is Skip's first stone. It's been a while since we've seen the front of the house wide open. I mean, we've had some partial play, and in the first end we had a lot out in front of the house. First stone for Cheryl of this fifth end.
Sweepers are just watching it closely. They're thinking about it, yeah. Weight must be close. They're sweeping it on and off.
It looks like it's by the guard.
Yes, it is. It's just by the guard, nice and tight. Looks like it's going to stop in the back of the 8 foot. Oh, stopped in the back of the 4 foot.
If I could,
Nice shot.
and if
Well
I could
buried.
yell outside, I'd yell Yahoo! Great shot.
Very nice shot. Well thrown.
Great throw.
So now PEI is looking to come down on top of that. There's just enough room. It's just slightly behind the tee line, so they'd be able to sit on it and be shot stone. And that looks like what they're seeking to do.
One of the things we've been seeing this game, Bob, is if, again, the ice is weight sensitive. If you're just a little underweight, you can't finish hard. If you're up the bit of the weight there, or you get outside the broom, it just is not finishing. You just can't seem to get the finish you want. So it looked like this was just slightly inside.
Yeah, pretty close though, and the line so far.
The sweepers are on it, and I don't know if they're going to get it there.
Looks potentially a touch light. Looks like it might be towards the top top 12-foot weight. Yep, it's even short of that, so it's now effectively further covering the shot stone.
Absolutely.
Back of the 4 foot.
Now, for Northwest Territories, they're looking at a couple of things here. Do we steal one? Do we try to push the effort for two?
I think looking at the scoreboard, they'd probably want to get as many points as they could get in play.
So there's a couple of things they could possibly do here. The last thing they want to do is put a rock in play that Prince Edward Island could make a simple hit and stick for one. So they don't want to do that. But
they don't want to leave him a duck, but it looks like it's they're taking the approach of trying to draw in on the same out turn that they've successfully positioned their earlier shot with.
It's going to need. They're going to. It's going to be a nice shot because they need to get by that long guard and not rack on that. Yeah. And the other part of it is, if they make this really, really well, then what happens is they could be sitting 1-2, and if it's hit, they'd that they would still count. So they just need a biter here. Yeah. And to jam the hole would be great for them.
Oh, they've tightened up the ice. It looks like they're mind as to. Oh no, back again.
I'm a little. I know what they're thinking. I'm not sure about that broom for that rock.
Yeah, I just wonder whether you can get by the top guard.
That's right.
Yeah. They may change their mind. They're going down to have a discussion on the matter now. Skip's gone back down the ice to chat.
I'm not so sure coming the other way wouldn't be better.
Yeah. And I think that's what the skip's indicating now is to take the other turn and try and draw in behind cover of that long guard.
If you're short, it's good. The only thing about this, if it's too deep and
set it on the edge 4 foot, you might not be happy with yourself.
Right.
Would be an opportunity for an easies. Well, look at this on sheet adjoining on sheet 2. Alberta must have had a very controlling house because the opposition team, the Yukon Territories team, decided to throw their last rock through, even though they weren't in a counting position because I guess there wasn't a shot available for them to consider. Alberta steps up, I think, another couple of points on that sheet to be leading by a score of maybe.
I've got one.
Okay, 1 point. So that's a score of 8 now to 1 after 5 ends on sheet 2.
It's too bad this for Cheryl's last rock. It was tight on the guard and opened it up, got a rub. Thought the sweepers might have been able to hold it, and then with the wick, it opened up the house again. So it's made the shot a little bit easier. I mean, it needs to be a nice shot, but that shot would have not been there had she not rubbed off the guard and had been able to come into the house.
Okay.
Final rock for Sandy Hope here in the 5th end.
Attempt to draw in behind cover.
It's the final rock at the end. All she needs
attempt
to
to
do
draw
is draw
the
to
rings.
4. Yep.
Doesn't need to be behind cover then.
And
looking like it's pretty good by the way the sweepers are working it.
Oh, they're going to not get there.
Maybe it's just a little bit short, so Territory steals yet another end. That's 3 in a row, or 2 in a row, I guess.
Yeah, 2 steals.
So the score is now 10-3 in favor of the Prince Edward Island team over the.
Well, it's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those situations. You turn around and say, "Yeah, we've played 5 ends. And we've won 3. Yeah. Now we're not winning, but we've won 3 ends, and they've actually stole 2. So,
and they were well played ends.
Were well played ends, and that's wonderful to hear, or and to see. Bell Alliance is proud to be the official broadcaster for the Kings County 2016 Canadian Masters Curling Championships being held in Kentville and Wolfville, Kings County, Nova Scotia. Bell Alliance, there's more to love with first stone of the sixth end for Northwest Territories. Lead Audrey Doyle, who is a local curler filling in for the regular Doreen Scheller. She had to leave. Conflicting interest. She has the conflicting interest. She has the opportunity to curl in a national curling championship, and she has the great thrill of curling with her son at the National Firefighters. Well done.
So well thrown guard by Audrey. It's right on, touching on center line, just out in front of the house. So well positioned.
I've curled with Audrey a bit over the last year, and what you see here for guard weight is money in the bank for Audrey. She has that guard and draw weight like money in the bank, and I can see that the opportunity to throw in a national certainly hasn't changed that at all for her. They're looking for a wick here from PEI to get it off the center line, and they have done so. Nice throw.
An attempt at a Wiggle type shot.
Yes, the Wiggle throw.
That's sure become a popular shot in recent times.
Incredible amount of skill to do that with any amount of consistency. And Alison Wiggle, who throws for Holman's Rink out of Ontario, it's amazing how well she will throw that in and out, and she has convinced other teams that it's a to definitely have in your back pocket.
And the fun thing is to watch the men's team throw Wiggle shots. And have to admit it.
Yeah. Another great throw. Center line.
Yep, the Territories have got some nice guards in play, just on top of the house, covering center and a large part of the forefoot. Continuing to put pressure on the Territories, on PEI to make some good clearing shots.
Well, now, again, this one cannot be removed. All she can do is wick this open again.
She's going for another tick, and it looks like it's going to be close.
This is Arleen Harris here. I think it's going to be a little wide, Bob, but
yeah, it looks like it's just gone by.
I think they're going to come into the house anyway, and that's okay. Take it deep enough. So throwing second for Northwest Territories, Davida Delorey. As I had mentioned, she is president of the Hay River of where she plays from. Has been in the Canadian Travelers Curling Championships in 2009 and also the Canadian Seniors Curling Championship in 2003. So she has seen more than one national event before.
Just an attempt to come down on top of the PEI stone. Looks like it's got pretty good line. Sweepers are on it.
Just needs to.
And it may roll as well.
Yep.
Very nice shot.
Nice touch.
Successfully removed the PEI stone and sits partially, or just edge buried. Fairly open though, so I'm expecting PEI will take a run at trying to hit this one.
I think PEI or Northwest Territories, and I think they've done it. This is kudos to them. I mean, to be down 10-0 after the first two ends, and all of a sudden you gain your game back. You score one, and then you steal the next two ends. It says you shook it off, and you are a team that can play, and they've shown that.
Very nice shot by PEI there to hit and roll in behind cover on top forefoot.
Great throw.
Right behind, and actually slightly inside the center guard that's on the center line, making it a bit challenging. So Territories is looking to run back the other guard on the top of the 12-foot into the shot stone on the forefoot.
Rock in the way for Davida Delorey. Now if they can hold the weight, it looks good.
Very good line. And it does make contact with the PEI stone and shot in behind cover of two guards.
Nice shot.
Well protected.
Nice throw for Davida. And Northwest Territories is shot rock undercover. So there's some discussion here. Sandy, I think, would say, okay, let's just open up the front. If you can run it back, great. And remove the stone, that'll be fine. The only thing that wouldn't work well here would be a nose hit. Wick on the or a hit on the inside, a hit on the outside. Would all be good. Stone in the way. She's going to turn around and open up the other guard that was up in front.
Ooh. Well, that's a bit of a magic shot.
It's not the magic I think PEI wanted.
No, it's now got two of the PEI two of the Northwest Territory stones in play in the 4 foot, and one in the top 8. But two stones are counting now for the Territories, so they're going to be throwing up a guard to help protect against
Cheryl's asked
their top stone.
And Cheryl's asked third Janie Hobart to throw up a top of the house guard. The rings.
Pretty good line. Looks like it's coming right down to the top 12 foot and will be very effectively covering the shot stone on the top of the 4 foot there. Very well thrown.
I got to say, I didn't see that combination shot happening from the rock that had been just thrown by Prince Edward Island to open up the house.
Yeah, it took a couple of interesting ricochets and
caroms and.
They say that's curling.
So PEI setting in the house. Say, okay, we got to open up the front of the house. Shelley Ebbett, third for Prince. Set in the hack. Rock and the way to open up some.
She's throwing to open up the top guard that's sitting on top, or the
top
guard
one
that's sitting on top of the shot stone.
She might end up with a wick and a double.
Ooh, it's hit a little bit thin and open.
Come over.
Yeah. So Territories is still sitting 2 stones in the 4 foot, and it looks like they'll be looking to guard the rock on the right-hand side of the house in the 4 foot with a new replacing the guard that was just taken off.
Janie needs to throw the same rock, except just. Sweepers are on it. Sweepers are on it. They need to come a little bit more, but the more important thing is to make sure that it has the right line.
Slightly over curling. Yeah, it's not protecting that rock as much as they'd hoped, but still a tough shot.
Yeah, shot rock is still available here, and with an inside roll. With an inside roll, they could end up being 2 if it comes across the 4 foot and bumps out the other Northwest Territories rock. So rock on the way for Shelley.
This one looks like it's running. Well, their sweepers are on it, so oops, they're backed off. No, they're back on.
They just need to get it by the top rock. Yelling to keep the sweepers off of it.
Looks like it might roll outside a wee bit. There it goes. So now Territories still have 1 in play on the top 4 foot as shot rock, and PEI has 2 stones in play in the 8 foot.
Now they could come and say, okay, well, we're going to come in right now anyway. We won't be with the rock for Prince Edward Island. They could hit and roll, come back in, take away that option. they have a couple of options here, and even if this rock here was a little bit short, just to take away the ability to draw around the top rock would be great benefit to Northwest Territories. Skip Cheryl, who all thrown her first rock.
Looking to draw into.
It's out there. Sweepers are not on it yet.
Starting to slow down now, and they're thinking about it. Looks like it's going to stop full in the rings. About T-line weight.
Back. Need to take it back a bit. Backfire
Just
as they
behind
could.
the T-line, so they're sitting 1 and 2 now. One rock on the top of the 4 foot on the left side of the house, and one in the back of the 4 foot on the right side of the house.
Well, there's a couple of options here for Prince Edward Island. If the rock had been deeper, they had swept it back, then they wouldn't have had this option that they have here, where they could hit and roll over for a shot. But now that it is where it is, any type of hit and roll, they could be shot rock after this here. So Sandy Hope, skip for Prince Edward Island, getting set, throw her first rock in the 6th end. PEI with the hammer, leading 10-3 after 2 consecutive steals by Northwest Territories in the 4th and 5th end. Delivery on the way. Got some plenty of weight on the shot, but is it going to finish? Going to finish and roll. A little bit of a roll, still available.
I may have to go get a team photo for my team here, so I might break for you. That's okay. Pleasure.
My pleasure.
I might come back.
Situation that we have here now for final stone for Northwest Territories. A little bit of a finish here. They can have the same thing. The shot, the hit and roll in there is good, even if they hit and remove the rock and don't stay around. But she's tight, and it's going to run on her own at the top of the house. And now it is Prince Edward Island. They're 1. Draw down for 2. Unfortunate for Northwest Territories. Cheryl's just a little tight. A little tight on the inside on the shot. So last rock of the 6th end, Prince Edward Island. Skip Sandy Hope here. Another veteran of the national curling scene, being at the Canadian Mixed Curling in 2008. Canadian Seniors in 2010, 12, and 15. And she also was at the Canadian Masters last year. Last rock of the 6th end on its way. Sweepers are thinking there's plenty of weight here. And it's outside. It's outside. Does not affect shot rock. So it looks like 1 for Prince Edward Island. 1 for Prince Edward Island. So after 6, Prince Edward Island 11. Northwest Territories 3. I think they're looking, and it's going to be a shake of hands. I will say it's have a smile on my face looking at these ladies out here who, from Northwest Territories, who to give up a 7 in the start because not one of the players made a shot, and to turn around and play the way they did, especially in the last 4 ends, hats off to them, and I'm really thrilled that they actually had the right frame of mind to turn around and say, you know what, we got to let that go, and we'll continue on, and we'll show people that we can curl, and they certainly have done that. Prince Edward took advantage when the opportunities presented themselves, and they did a great job and ended up with an 11-3 victory. Thanks again to all our sponsors. Can't say enough about them. And Bell Alliance has made it all possible for hosting this national event, at least televising and live streaming it for everybody. And we thank them very much for their ongoing support. I think my colleague Bob Blaney, who has stepped down to see and visit a team from Alberta. That game has come to a close after an 8-2 victory from Alberta over Yukon. I thank you again for tuning in. We have another game featured at 7:30 tonight when the male teams bracket playoffs will be underway. I thank you very much for your audience, your attention, and wish you a tremendous day. And thanks again on behalf of the 2016 Master Curling Championships being held here in Kentville, Annapolis Valley, Nova Scotia.